This week, there was much heartburn all round after it came to light that the Delhi Archbishop, in a letter to other parishioners, asked for a prayer campaign as a lead-up to elections 2019. In his letter, Archbishop Anil Couto used some strong words like troubled times and turbulent political atmosphere, which is a threat to democratic atmosphere. But what really enraged many, especially the government, was that he asked for a prayer campaign in a lead-up to 2019. While it didn't specifically mention the BJP government, the clergyman's words were very clear. And so, on Reality Check, we get to the bottom of it, especially today when the head of the Catholic Church in India, Cardinal Oswald Gracias, met with Home Minister Rajnath Singh. He says it was a courtesy visit, but coming the same week as this entire controversy where many have questioned the propriety of a church figure saying this, you can't deny the coincidence of it. We'll just play out his interview with us in just a bit and then get our panelists on it. But first, let's just play out for you the strong reaction that the BJP government, that the national head Amit Shah had about what the Archbishop had said in his letter.
देखिए, मैं मानता हूं कि इस प्रकार की धर्म के आधार पर लामबंद होने की बात किसी ने भी नहीं करनी चाहिए।
मैंने स्टेटमेंट इन वर्बेटम उनका देखा नहीं है, पढ़ा नहीं है। भारत एक ऐसा दुनिया का देश है जहां पर कि जाति, पंथ अथवा मजहब के आधार पर किसी प्रकार का कोई भेदभाव नहीं होता है और ये भेदभाव करने की किसी को इजाजत भी नहीं दी जा सकती।
So a lot of reactions coming in on that, but does the church stand by what Anil Couto said? And what is the reaction of it? Should the church be playing out this part? And what is actually ailing the community? Is there anxiety, as has been pointed out by several? Well, speaking about it, we have in studio the chairman of the National Commission for Minorities, Syed Hassan Razvi. We also have with us in studio Dilip Cherian, PR guru. We have writer, journalist Dilip D'Souza joining us from Mumbai, and also from the BJP State Secretary in Kerala, we have Danny J. Paul. Now, before we go to our guests to talk about some of these issues and look at some of the figures that have emerged of late, I just want to play out for you the interview that I did with the Cardinal earlier today. He's the head of the Catholic Church in India, and this is just before he went and met Rajnath Singh. I asked him whether he was going to take up this entire controversy that has emerged. Is this the issue that you're going to meet the Home Minister with today?
No. It was totally unconnected. The appointment of the Home Minister was a courtesy call, and it was already planned much before, and nothing to do at that time. This whole controversy had not erupted at all. So nothing to do with this at all.
What do you think of this controversy, sir? I mean, the letter was very significant because it spoke about his angst about the kind of an attack on a threat to democracy, and it also tells people that, you know, to talk about this campaign leading up to the elections, it's something that the ruling party hasn't taken well.
Yes, I would say that this letter, which I must confess I've heard so much about it, but I've not read it. I've spoken to the Archbishop of Delhi. It was not, certainly the letter has been totally misunderstood. It was not his intention to create this controversy and speak about his change of government. Now, this letter, you must understand that there are 173 dioceses, and Delhi is one diocese of this 173. So this was a letter which was written by him to his priests and his people, and this very, very localized, and it has been made as an official stand of the church, which is not true at all. The church's official stand, I must clarify, is it's apolitical. The church has always been apolitical in India, in the world. It does not side any political party. Therefore, right now, as in our context, it is not pro-Modi, not anti-Modi, not pro-Congress, not anti-Congress. We want good governance. That's what we want.
Sir, I was reading your views where you've said there is a growing anxiety among the community, sir. Would you elaborate on this growing anxiety, sir?
Yes.
What is causing that?
The word growing was added by, I think, the editor. I had said there is an anxiety, and that I had mentioned also to the Prime Minister when I met him. Anxiety because of certain incidents have created, I would say, it's not growing, but there's a little anxiety. What is the future? How are we doing? I saw that in certain cases, and that's what I meant. Anxiety because I feel sometimes the government does not act fast enough and doesn't give a clear message that this is not tolerable. Every minority should feel secure. That's important.
So we are not hearing that from the Home Minister or any other kind of politicians. You're saying, will you be asking?
No, it is absolutely.
Yes, yeah. Go ahead, sir.
Go ahead. I mean,
no, sir. You're saying that
no,
you're not hearing that reassurance from our political class right now.
No, you know what? I am meeting the Home Minister because I've met him before, and I know his mind about this. But it's meant to be a courtesy call. But now there's a new context added to it. Certainly, I will suggest that the government acts promptly and gives a clear message. This is not tolerable. That's what I will ask about, which will help the community and help the country, the image of the country also abroad. I'm a little concerned about that also.
The image of the country abroad because of these news reports, sir.
Yes, abroad, very much. You know, that people ask me when I go, what is happening in India? Now, I want to tell you that I tell them that it's a little exaggerated, that you feel that there are problems all over. There are no problems all over. I'm from Mumbai, and Mumbai is, I think, a safe city. Things are okay. I don't experience any fear or anxiety myself.
One other thing, when you say abroad, sir, has the Vatican also taken up this issue about concern in India?
No, not at all. Not Vatican has never asked me. But I remember when I went to the States, and several people there in the States United States asked me. And I was in Washington about 3 weeks back. They asked me when I was in Germany, and then they asked me. And then in Italy, not the Vatican, but the Italians sometimes asked. Now that's not good for us. No, I mean, I'm embarrassed. There was a time when they looked on India with pride, and now all of a sudden, two things. One is the attacks on women. They repeatedly asked me about that. Why are so many attacks on women? And this is secondarily, they also speak about this, but mainly on the attacks on women. So the image of the country, we must redeem it. We are all Indians. We must redeem the image of our country.
Cardinal Oswald, thank you so much for speaking to NDTV about this entire controversy and setting the record straight.
God bless you. Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So he's playing it down, but he definitely confirmed that there was anxiousness in the community and that he was embarrassed for the kind of concern that there is abroad. And also we have the figures that are going to play out as well, which show that the NCRB data and also survey done by this group called filed by Promoting Enmity on Basis, and they certainly point out rising figures. In fact, from 2015 to 2016, it's gone from 378 to 447. So I want to start with you, रिजवी जी. आपने सुना जो कार्डिनल कह रहे थे, और उनका ये कहना है कि हालांकि बड़ा इतना ज़्यादा टेंशन नहीं है, थोड़ा एग्जैजरेटेड है, लेकिन वो ये कह रहे हैं कि एक तो उन्हें एम्बैरसमेंट होती है क्योंकि बाहर से इतने लोग पूछते हैं, और ये भी कि समुदाय में थोड़ा सा डर है. तो इसको ख़त्म करने के लिए वो चाहते हैं सरकार कुछ करे, लोगों से बात करे. तो इसको सरकार सुनती क्यों नहीं है?
देखिए, किसी तरह का डर का माहौल नहीं है, जैसा कि मैं भी सुन रहा था उनसे. इस तरह के जो आर्क बिशप जी ने लेटर लिखा है और प्रेयर करने की बात कही है, प्रेयर करना कोई बुरी चीज़ नहीं है, और प्रेयर करना चाहिए देश के लिए और कम्युनिटी के लिए और समाज के लिए प्रेयर करना चाहिए. बट किसी पर्टिकुलर मुद्दे पर प्रेयर करने की बात अगर कही जाती है कि यहाँ डर का माहौल है, यहाँ पॉलिटिकल जो है वो इन्वायरमेंट ठीक नहीं है, या लोग डरे हुए हैं, सहमे हुए हैं, इससे ये मैसेज जाता है कि सरकार जो है वो माइनॉरिटी के साथ भेदभाव कर रही है, जबकि ऐसा नहीं है. इतने भी आंकड़े हैं, हमारे पास भी आंकड़े हैं, नेशनल माइनॉरिटी कमीशन के पास भी ऐसे आंकड़े हैं कि माइनॉरिटी के साथ कहीं पर भेदभाव नहीं हो रहा है सरकार से.
लेकिन सर, अगर हम यही देखें एनसीआरबी की डेटा, एंड वी विल हैव दैट ऑन आवर स्क्रीन फॉर व्यूअर्स एज वेल, उसका ये कहना है कि 2014 में जो 323 था वो 2016 जो कि लेटेस्ट है उसमें बढ़कर 447 केसेस हो गया है. और अगर हम उस डेटा से जाएं, अगर आप और कोई डेटा देखें, जैसे आप इवेंजेलिकल फेलोशिप ऑफ इंडिया के जो आंकड़े हैं, अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट जो 2015 में 177 केसेस थे, क्राइम्स अगेंस्ट क्रिश्चियंस की बात अगर हम स्पेसिफिकली करें तो फिर वो 2017 में बढ़कर 351 हो गए हैं। तो आंकड़े तो ऑब्वियसली दिखा रहे हैं कि चिंता की बात है।
देखिए, आंकड़े तो ये हैं, बता रहे हैं, सही बात है, लेकिन इन आंकड़ों में कई केसेस ऐसे होते हैं जो किसी दूसरी बिना पर उनके साथ बातचीत हो जाती है या उनके साथ भेदभाव हो जाता है।
तो आपको नहीं लगता है कि सरकार, जो कार्डिनल कह रहे हैं कि द गवर्नमेंट शुड रीच आउट टू पीपल, आपको नहीं लगता है कि वो एक स्पेशल एफर्ट करना चाहिए?
नहीं, सरकार ऑलरेडी एफर्ट कर रही है और स्पेशल एफर्ट कर रही है। इसलिए मैं बताना चाहता हूं कि गृह मंत्रालय के भी अनुसार, जो मेरे पास मैंने मंगवाया था 3-4 साल के आंकड़े, उसके अनुसार भी अगर देखें तो जो उससे पहले के 10 साल थे या उससे पहले थे, उससे पहले।
Okay, you're refusing to accept these figures. आप कह रहे हैं वो okay. Dilip Chetty, what do you make of all of this?
You know, there are two things that we need to keep in mind. First, a prayer request by an archbishop is not some encyclical by either the Pope or by the head of any of the other churches. The second thing is that in India, there are a whole bunch of very active churches. So besides the Catholic Church, there are several other churches. So there is no one omnibus, Christian church with a central leadership which has sent out a kind of message. That isn't the case.
Sure.
Third, is there anxiety about the treatment of minorities? I think that we'd be ducking the issue if we said there isn't. The fact is that there is a sense of unease, and that everybody is saying, everybody on your show so far, the letter, the Cardinal, all of them are indicating that there is cause for concern, there is need for thought, and it's an issue. How big an issue? Nobody's at the moment wanting to stoke the fire and claim that it's a huge issue. That's all right. But the fact that there is an issue is something, I think, which a constructive government would see as an opportunity to do something about. Now, the sabka vikas, sabka saath, sabka vikas kind of thing is a great slogan. But in action, it actually means doing a bunch of things to make sure that anybody who feels a sense of being threatened is assuaged, and that's important. Now, if you want to turn it around, there is a whole bunch of people who will constantly say, in this spirit of whataboutery which this country seems to specialize in at the moment, that what about the majority? Don't they also feel threatened?
Right.
The answer is, in no country in the world is there the concept of a majority feeling threatened.
Yeah.
That is actually quite alien, and it's uniquely in some senses Indian.
Okay, and Dilip D'Souza, before I go to Danny J. Paul of the BJP, I just wanted to ask you what's interesting is that we saw this very strong letter which talks of the turbulent political atmosphere, and the Cardinal right now, who's the head of the Catholic Church in India, him distancing himself from the Delhi Archbishop's letter, however, also pointing out that there is certain degree of anxiousness. How does one take all of this? I mean, what is the unified message from the community?
Sunetra, I should tell you, I don't see myself as a minority in any case. I'm not Christian to begin with, but that's irrelevant here. The point is that I'm concerned about the situation in this country as a citizen of India. And I think that's the point that we should take from the Archbishop's letter. He has not mentioned a single political leader or a single political party. He just says, I think there is a certain situation in this country, and I think we should pray for our political leaders and for the country. I mean, I'm not one for prayer, but I don't have any problem with other people praying for whatever they want. And if the Archbishop thinks that this is going to introduce or to give us a better climate in the country, a better governance, prayer is going to do that, well, good for him, good for anybody who believes that. And I hope that is the case. But it beats me, it defeats me that people would see this as some kind of threat. Because, I mean, what is threatening about an archbishop saying this? What is threatening about the call to prayer? I don't understand what the Syed Saab said earlier about there being no threat, and therefore this letter being some kind of false letter or to that or a meaningless letter. I don't understand these reactions to this. There's somebody on Twitter who says that the Archbishop should be jailed for sedition. What kind of climate are we in where a letter like this is called seditious? It makes no sense to me.
So I want to
please let's all think about this as Indians. That's the way I feel about this.
So let me put your question to Danny J. Paul of the BJP State Secretary. Danny J. Paul, would you like to answer him? Why is it that an Archbishop asks his community, his parish, to pray for a better political environment, and it actually elicits that kind of response from so many people, including very angry politicians saying that it's not his place to say so?
Well, Sumitra, the letter of Archbishop, it's his personal opinion. That is not the voice of the church. See, there are differences of opinion in the church itself, whether such a letter should have come in this time. And just like the D'Souza has been quoting, saying before, there is no harm in praying and calling for a prayer, but when it is aimed at something, when there are things to be read between the lines, that has to be taken a bit cautiously.
What is it aimed at, Mr. Paul?
Well, let me just finish.
What is it aimed at? It's aimed at the welfare of this country. You should be happy about that.
Well, we are happy. See, anybody can have a prayer. Anybody
please
can pray
say
for
so.
the country.
Then please say so, Danny Paul.
It doesn't carry any message, any wrong message.
No, I understand. You're saying it doesn't carry any message, Danny Paul. Then why is it that it elicits response from the Home Minister and the national head of the BJP?
Well, India is one country where the minorities are the safest in the whole world. There is no reason of concern for any minorities, whether it be a Muslim minority or the Christian minority or any other minority.
The sentiments of all the people
who were lynched yesterday, Mr. Paul.
Even as per not the constitution, India is a country where the minorities have been protected.
There were Indians who were lynched yesterday.
Safeguarded. There has been no problem for that. And the figures that you have been mentioning just before this, the figures itself would show that the government has taken cognizance of the matter. Whenever there is an attack or whenever there is something bad happening to a church or someone associated with the church. As you can see, the figures earlier, the government then failed to take action. Now that whenever there is an act, something which is against the church, the government is stepping in immediately and the government takes cognizance of the fact.
Okay, so it's interesting. Okay, Danny Paul.
Suppose we were to twist this around. And suppose the Archbishop were to write a letter saying we should pray for the safety of women, and that this is a climate where women are feeling scared. I'm sure that there'd be a whole bunch of people who would rise up to say that the Archbishop has no business worrying about the safety of women.
So?
That is the situation we
You're
are currently
saying it's
living
not
in.
just about him writing about the government and the atmosphere.
No,
even if he wrote about women, there would be...
I'm saying that he would, if he said government should pay more attention for the protection of women, there'd be a whole bunch of people who would stand up immediately to defend this as if he has done something wrong. The fact is that at this point...
No, because you're saying any church figure saying anything is a problem. Is that what you're saying?
Anyone saying anything at this point of time which seems directly or indirectly critical of the government is something that seems to draw the hackles of too many people. And I think that very correctly someone said, the idea that, Mr. D'Souza said that if, for example, some person, let's assume that it's a person with no brief, is saying that he ought to be tried for sedition, this is the kind of thing which should worry all of us as citizens of India. We need to have an atmosphere.
It should worry the government.
So Dilip D'Souza, when they, it's interesting. Immediately after December 12th in 16th in 2012, the Nirbhaya case. At that time, when crime figures would every time be cited, the government would always point out and say, we are seeing much more reporting now because people have become aware. It's interesting that the NCRB data, which shows an increase in crimes against Christians or minorities, that is also getting the same kind of response, that if people have become more aware now, the government's more aware now, and that's why we're registering more crimes as opposed to previously when it wouldn't go reported. Do you think that that is convincing, that argument by the government, by the Minority Commission? Mr. Rizvi also said it. We just heard what Danny Paul also said. Do you think this argument is convincing?
Well, it's not convincing at all, because in 2012 it was in the interest of that government to play down those figures and say, no, it's not an indication of more violence, it's an indication of more reporting. So the same thing applies to this government, which doesn't want to acknowledge that there is more violence. So they will say, no, there's more reporting, it's not the violence. So, every government is in the interest, it's in their interest to play down these figures. So that's what this government is doing. What bothers me is this crazy, intemperate reaction to this totally innocuous letter. And I think that's what the two BJP men on this panel should be thinking about. And I think, Mr. Chair, Dilip, please call me Dilip, by the way.
Yeah, okay. I was
just
saving each other, calling each other Dilip. That's
okay.
Right.
Okay, so I just want to take that. Right. I just want to take that once to Danny J. Paul. One of the things that has been talked about is the whole argument, which many people are divided on, is whether a church figure should be talking about politics, and one of the things that the Cardinal took great pains to say is that they are completely apolitical. He sends out a letter before elections, but that's just to say you should vote and not who to vote for. But what's interesting for someone who's just watching elections like us journalists is that we usually see religious leaders with politicians, which seems like an endorsement in any case. You see mutt leaders, you see sect leaders, you see priests, you see various or imams with politicians. So in a way, isn't that endorsement? So why should it be different? Why should it upset people if a church person says something?
Well, can I just, Sunita, on that point, in November 17, during the Gujarat elections,
one second, Danny Paul. Dilip D'Souza, go ahead.
1 sec. The head priest of the Swaminarayan temple in Vartal backed the BJP and asked devotees to vote for Modi.
Right.
On October 14, 2014, a Parsi Dastur of the Udwada Fire Temple explicitly asked Parsis to vote for the BJP. In October 2013, a Jain Muni said that the MP Chief Minister would make a good prime ministerial candidate. So why was there no objection
Exactly my
at that
point.
time?
Okay, so there are all these instances over there, Danny J. Paul. Why is it that this particular letter, which doesn't mention any party, upset people so much?
Well, Sumitra, see, the Representation of People Act, by which the elections are governed in India, doesn't permit religion to be mixed with polity. The religious leaders should keep themselves away from politics. They should not be giving a call to their followers to vote for
okay, but there are all these people that Dilip D'Souza just read out. There are all these. Rizvi ji, aap kuch bolna chahenge is pe?
But their opinions have to be private, and that they can have their opinion
for
themselves.
Mr. Paul, once again, I just want to get Mr.
Give a
Rizvi
call to the public, to the followers of the particular church or that institution or that religious belief or faith,
इतने सारे
to give a
instances
call.
दिए हैं दिलीप डिसूजा जी ने, इतने सारे कहे कि 2014 में इतने लोगों ने, इस जैन मुनि ने मोदी जी के लिए वोट मांगा था, तो क्या ये इसमें फर्क क्या है? इस बार क्यों लोग इतना गुस्सा हो रहे हैं?
नहीं, कोई गुस्सा नहीं है. देखिए, अब जैसे आर्कबिशप जी का जो लेटर आया है, रिलीजियस लीडर हैं, रिलीजियस एक वो हैं, लेकिन उनको इस तरह के, जैसे उन्होंने एक पूरा लेटर लिख करके, और प्रे करने की, मैंने पहले भी कहा कि प्रे करना कोई बुरी बात नहीं है, लेकिन पर्टिकुलर लेकर के कि इस वक्त अनस्टेबिलिटी
नहीं, हम लोग जो कह रहे हैं 2014 में या 15 में इतने सारे दूसरे कम्युनिटी के लीडर्स, जो मठ के लीडर्स, जैन मुनि, वो कह रहे थे मोदी जी के लिए वोट दें, क्या वो गलत नहीं था? तो ये उससे अलग कैसे है?
नहीं, ठीक है, ये कह रहे हैं, लेकिन कुल मिलाकर के ये बताना कि इस वक्त स्टेबिलिटी नहीं है सरकार में, या एटमॉस्फेयर ऐसा है कि लोगों के
That is wrong. So it's a criticism that's not going down well.
देखिए, यही है प्रॉब्लम, दैट इस वक्त कोई भी क्रिटिसाइज करे, एज आई सेड अबाउट सेफ्टी ऑफ वुमेन हो या एयर पोल्यूशन हो, यहाँ कुछ खराबी नहीं है, ये सब ठीक है, बिकॉज बाय डेफिनेशन गवर्नमेंट इज स्टेटस कोएस्ट. So they don't want to say that there's anything wrong, because this is our shasan, and that I think is the issue which really blew this whole letter case up in a
which
kind of
really
fireball.
blew it up, and hopefully the government focuses on the real issue and not that letter, which is of these figures of rising crimes and attacks, and that's the thing to focus on. I want to thank all my guests. We're totally out of time. Thanks for watching Reality Check. We'll of course be back next week. Join us then.